Welcome families to our Early Learning 2024 live Q&A session this evening here in Connections at Scotch Oakburn Elfin Campus, the home of our Early Learning Centre, our Claremont Gardens precinct and also Connections and of course Early Learning. Hopefully you're able to get a lot of information out of this evening. I'm joined here by Casey Reid, our Director of Early Learning, and Nadia Deverell, our liaison officer from the marketing team here at the college. You may have been in touch with Nadia already regarding the process around early learning and the learning programs we offer. This evening I want to share with you, along with Casey and Nadia, some of our real special offerings here at Scotch Oakburn, specifically for early learning, and that it is really a focus upon your child, their wonderings, their interests, their passions, and them. And we discussed that in a teaching and learning method around the Reggio Emilia philosophy, which celebrates over the 100 languages of learning. And languages of learning include the language of making, the language of the spoken word, the language of the written text, the language of sand, play, all of those explorers that are out there in terms of how do we really learn. Reggio has been a focus for our Early Learning Centre here since it was developed in the early 2000s, and our staff have been continuing to develop their professional learning programs around the understanding of these 100 languages. At the centre of the Reggio approach, though, is your child. Your child brings so many expert opinions already into our Early Learning Centre. They will already at home and outside of your home sharing some of their thoughts around the world around them. Loris Malaguzzi is the founder of the Reggio program, and it does combine the opportunity for students to share a question, to share an interest, and we call that a provocation. And a provocation can be a deep discovery around a concept or a much bigger question itself. The art of learning through the 100 languages, though, is to connect students with each other, to connect them with outside opportunities as well. But here at Scotch Oakburn, we love to learn through the classroom experiences and out into the community. We believe that learning can learn through the head, heart and hands. Learning to connect with each other, learning to understand your classmate's idea, and learning to create something that is with your hands. All of these approaches are seen as equal of value. Our environment is the third teacher. Our environment is a caring, nurturing space that may be a traditional looking classroom for some, but also means equally the outdoor environment. Learning with our hands, head and heart is extremely evident in the early learning program. It is the richest space of this type of approach. We are so fortunate to have spaces connecting to our Early Learning Centre that are easily accessible from within the classroom and with our expert team providing opportunities in these environments. Scotch Oakburn Early Learning Centre is within the junior school. It also connects into spaces like we are here this evening to Connections. It also connects into Claremont Garden here on the same campus. Our students can also access music and also PMP programs within this campus here. A special part of this approach, though, is about the connection to the wider outdoors. And our early learning 3 and 4-year-old program certainly does connect here at Scotch Oakburn. That includes the wetlands, a wonderful opportunity for our students to enjoy bush learning. How do we understand, though, how students learn? How do they understand how we learn as the co-educators? It is all about values. Scotch Oakburn promotes values that are pivotal to each child. We want our students to be known, valued and cared for. We want our students to develop a sense of compassion. We want our students to develop a sense of commitment, of seeing things through. We want our students to be brave and understand the value of courage. We want our students to respect each other and themselves. And finally, we want our students to understand to be an active and responsible citizen. These 5 core values are at the heart of our learners, as the heart of our community, and we hope that our early learning families enjoy seeing their child grow through this values approach. I'd like to hand over to Casey, who's going to talk more about the specialist programs here at Early Learning Scotch Oakburn.
Thanks, Ben. So all of our early learning students have access to specialist lessons. We have specialist physical educators that provide a perceptual motor program. This occurs weekly for our early learners, and during these sessions students have the opportunity to exercise gross and fine motor skills, which are also important foundations for other skills such as handwriting. All of our early learning children participate in one music lesson a week with a music specialist, and that session occurs in our music centre at Mary Fox Hall. We have education outdoor specialists who run programs for both our 3-year-old early learning cohort and our 4-year-old early learning cohort. And we have other teachers specialising in literacy and information technology who are also available to support all aspects of student learning here within our early learning centre. As a whole college, we have access to many other specialists and resources, including science, art, languages and cultures. So it's really dependent on the interests of the children and in what direction the learning is heading as to what resources will be accessed during the course of early learning. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Casey. Well-being. A focus on well-being is equally as important as understanding the focus on learning. Well-being and learning go hand in hand. They're intertwined, and is one of our key strands in our strategic plan. Well-being is at the heart of our students' growth. That's the heart of their students' understanding of themselves and the community they belong to. We recognise that well-being is in fact learning to be well, but also the importance of being more courageous in your learning by being well. Your child's social, emotional development is really critical to their early years. We want students to be themselves. We want students to have the courage to ask the question and to make a new friend. Some of those actions are examples of how their well-being is developing. The early years are important regarding the students setting up the values of well-being and the values of them celebrating their own successes so that they can take on the more traditional forms of learning as they go through the college. I'll hand to Casey, who's going to talk about those important first 1,000 days.
As research tells us, that the first 1,000 days in a child's development is a pivotal time. And here at Scotch Oakburn College, your child will be supported to develop a strong sense of identity and belonging, along with the school skills that enable positive social interactions to occur. Socially appropriate and responsible behaviours will be role modelled and encouraged, with an emphasis on the development of care and respect for others. The joy of friendship will be encouraged, and your child will be guided to develop the social skills that will encourage and maintain friendships through cooperation, empathy, patience and sharing. Emotional well-being will be shaped by social interaction, maturity and confidence. At Scotch Oakburn College, we truly do believe that our educators, leaders and mentors are the best in the business. Our early learning classes are capped at 20. This supports best outcomes for our learners. We have a ratio of 1 educator to 10 children, and our teams are made up of qualified early learning teachers and qualified early learning support assistants. Scotch Oakburn College offers an outside of school hours care program, and within that program we have before school care, and that runs within our early learning centre from 7:30am until 8:20am, and children are transitioned by the educators into their class to ensure that is a smooth transition for them. Our after school care program is also available, and that runs from 3pm until 6pm. Again, children are transitioned from the classroom environment into the after school care space. We have a vacation care program, so that is run during term break from 8am till 6pm, in which all Scotch Oakburn College students are welcome to attend. Within early learning, we do have a buddy program. So this is where early learning classes are paired up with an older grade, and they do meet on a regular basis, usually fortnightly. And this really does support connection across the college. Our early learning day commences at 8:20. Now, doors open at 8:20. That doesn't mean you have to arrive at 8:20. Arrival is usually any time between 8:20 and 8:45, with early learning classes commencing around 9 a.m. Those students that do attend early learning are required to wear uniform, so the sports uniform, and all that information is provided upon enrolment. There is a requirement that our students that attend early learning are able to independently complete hygiene routines. So this does mean that they need to be fully toilet trained and able to independently use the toilet. We offer a Learning Together program. So that is for those enrolled into the 2024 cohort. That that Learning Together program will commence in term 4. It will run for 6 weeks, so one session each week, and it's a great opportunity for children to come into the environment and make a connection and become familiar with the space in preparation for their commencement next year. We also will be offering an orientation day prior to the commencement of term 1. That will be on January the 31st, that's a Wednesday, and that's where students attend to meet their teachers, they attend with parents, and again, it encourages that sense of familiarity to help with the transition into early learning. Another important factor is that our early learning program or early learning centre is registered as a provider with Centrelink, so that enables you to, if you are eligible, receive a childcare subsidy, and that is also applicable to our outside school hours care program.
Thank you, Casey. One of the strengths of our college is that our families, early learning, junior school, middle school and senior school, feel a sense of connection to our community. We would like to welcome you to the conversation beyond this evening, but also understand that we are focused on our community being not just your child, but you as a family. Your extended family are welcome in our campus here and at the Penquite campus. We see that this is one of the biggest decisions for families to make in terms of the schooling opportunities for your child and children. So Scotch Oakburn focuses a lot on the family, not just your child. We're always interested to know what makes your child who they really are, and often that is obviously provided by your family experiences and what you like to do as a family. I'm going to hand over to Nadia Deverell to explain how the process beyond this evening can be for your family with our marketing and admissions team. Thanks, Nadia.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for the wonderful questions that are streaming through. Thank you. Before we get to those questions, I'll just quickly chat with you about what the next steps look like. So we would highly recommend that you come, and we welcome you into our Elfin campus. We have a Discovery Day scheduled for next Monday, the 25th of September at 9:30, where we were doing a specific morning based around early learning for you to tour and have a look through. Ask any of the questions that you might forget to ask us tonight as well, and we would welcome you to register online for that. Just jump on our website. If you have any questions at all, we are always very welcome to answer any questions that you might have on the phone or by email. We would send you through the direct link for the application for admission, and we will guide you through those following steps as well of what will happen after you've submitted the application and what that looks like for you. So let's kick off with a couple of the questions, and I'm going to start with the first ones of which languages does the Scotch Oakburn College community offer? Ben.
Thank you. That's a really good question. Thank you for that. In the junior school, we offer Chinese as our language offering, and then in middle school, from year 6, we offer Chinese, Japanese and French as our language opportunities for learning. And we certainly enjoy seeing our students take on that opportunity. I can see another question coming through. How are families' cultures appreciated, and do we celebrate Chinese New Year? Yes, we do. We have a wonderful time early in the year where we embrace Harmony Week and have a special Harmony Day. That is to embrace all cultures. In fact, I believe we have over 50 nationalities in our college community, and that is also supported with our students having opportunities to develop English as a second language as well. I'll let Casey take the next question.
Sure. Okay, we have a question coming through. Do early learning students have access to older siblings throughout the day? And of course, this can be made possible. While it isn't a daily occurrence for all students, it is something. We are obviously co-located in the junior school, and it is something that can definitely occur if that supports our early learning students' sense of belonging and helps with their transition into early learning. For sure, definitely can occur. Another question I can see here. Do students learn about the Palawa people, and are there opportunities to engage in Indigenous activities? Certainly. Through our outdoor education program, this is highlighted. So we have an Indigenous and Aboriginal education program that occurs down at our wetlands. So we talk a lot about spending time on country. We also acknowledge, from a classroom perspective, we also acknowledge Aboriginal and Indigenous learning. Many of our early learning students start off their day with an acknowledgement to country, and there is lots of discussion around the appreciation of the land around us. Yeah.
Thank you, Casey. Some more questions coming through. Talks to the minimum number of days our 3 and 4 year old cohorts can attend, and what do classes look like?
Sure, I can answer that one. No, you're right. So that differs from our 3-year-old cohort to our 4-year-old cohort. So our 3-year-old cohort, the minimum attendance required is 2 days. And for our 4-year-old cohort, which is kindergarten, the minimum attendance is 3 days. Now, classes are structured on varying days. So we have some classes that are 3 days, some classes that are 4 days, and other classes that are full-time. So we do meet the needs of everybody within that structure. If you have a child that wishes to attend 3 days, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll be placed in a 3-day class. They may go into a 4 or 5-day class depending on the demand and your request of days. Did you want to add anything, Ben? No?
Thank you. Thanks, Casey. Another question that we have is, what does the vacation care program entail? So clearly, being a school, we are closed during the term break. So what does the vacation care program actually look like?
Good question. Thank you. The vacation care program is designed by our early learning team, and in particular, that is where Casey and her team actually work in the school holidays. We're actually open for the 48 weeks of the year. Through term breaks, we're open every day, except over the Christmas and New Year period. We have that as a holiday for the whole program, and also just a few days around the Easter break. But the college is open the 48 weeks. It involves that our vacation care program starts every day and finishes every day here on campus. About a 50% time of vacation care is here, and other times the other 50% would be that start here and then go on an excursion based program. Again, one of the advantages here is that our staff who are working through the term time are also working through the vacation care time. We're very fortunate we have a coordinator of that program with Jess Deegan, and Jess and Casey oversee that program. But again, it's an opportunity for our families to enjoy Scotch Oak Burns Early Learning Centre outside of term time.
Thank you, Ben. This is a question that I get asked a lot, and as a mum who had a little girl here as well and is now in year 3, I asked the same question. And Casey, this one's for you. What is the difference between childcare and early learning?
Sure. Okay, so there are a few standout differences between our early learning space and a childcare centre. The first one being access to early childhood teachers. So we have an early childhood teacher on every class in early learning, whereas within a childcare centre environment, there may only be one early childhood teacher across the whole centre. So access to that teacher can be somewhat limited. Secondly, and Nadia, you did mention this in our earlier live, we are single stream. So when you attend a childcare centre, your child may be placed in a room that has a 2, sometimes even 3-year age variance within that space. So here we are placing children with peers of their own age within their own development range, and they move in that stream throughout the college. Yeah.
Thank you. And just on a side note there, one of the things that I found as a parent that I loved about the inquiry approach, which I'll ask Ben to speak about in just a moment, for early learning was on one occasion we had a student in my daughter's class who saw a fire truck on their way to school, and that created a whole experience of what is the purpose behind the siren? Why is the fire engine red? And then as this led through, they went and visited a fire station and learnt more, and it was a wonderful experience. And so the nature of our little people asking these questions can just bring forward a bigger conversation as well. We have another question. Thank you so much coming through, and Ben, this one is for you. As a first-time mum, can you help me decide what is the reason that I would choose Scotch Oakburn College?
That's a good question. I think a key reason to enrol your child here at Scotch Oakburn in early learning would be that it is a continuation of learning from early learning into the junior school and beyond. You mentioned the key focus on the actual learning. I think that Early Learning Centre here at Scotch Oakburn fosters learning through the questions, the wonderings, and what you would call an inquiry. It also enables that sense of care, the sense of our numbers being targeted with really, really small ratios. Also think that the connection with relationships. One of the lovely things that I see on a daily basis is relationships between students and staff. And often our early learning staff are able to work throughout the early learning program, and some of them are able to work in the early primary program as well. I think if I see it from a student point of view, your child will be known and your child will be really celebrated. You mentioned about inquiry, Nadia, before. I think the greatest strength is that we want our students to feel like they are someone and they actually are capable. I can only speak from that as being here for quite some time and seeing students flourish right through the junior school, middle school and senior school, and it all starts with them being confident in them being respected as a learner and your family being respected.
Thanks, Ben. Completely agree. This isn't a question that has come through, but it is one that I do get asked really often with some phone calls or emails, and it's around families whose little one hasn't ever been to childcare. They might have gone to rock and rhyme or a type of play group, but they've never actually been fully immersed in a childcare type environment as well, and that separation is a concern, particularly for us parents as well, of how they will cope and will they actually scream the house down or not. So I'm going to throw this to Casey just to see how we can handle that, chat about our half days for maybe the first day or two that they start with us.
Sure. First of all, I think it's important to acknowledge that your child won't be the only child in that situation. We do have a large cohort that come to us that haven't experienced an early learning environment before. So it is quite a significant transition for them. And I think the importance here, the number one priority is to have an open line of communication with your class teacher. So to have those conversations around how best you feel that your child will settle within this space. You know your child the best. You are your child's first teacher. So here at Scotch, we really value that knowledge that you have, and we will work with you to ensure that transition is as smooth as possible. As Nadia mentioned, there is an option for the first week or two, maybe even 3, depending on how everybody's feeling, to start off with half days within the space, and then build up from there as your child becomes more comfortable and confident. Our priority is to set them up for success. So we really want to work with you to ensure that occurs.
Wonderful. Thank you. Another question, which is, again, one that I ask myself, is what is a healthy brain snack? So if you are coming from, home or a childcare, there is going to be a little bit of a shift in the routine in the morning for you. So healthy brain snack is basically just fruit, water, some veggies, something healthy, just to help kickstart their day. It's where they often sit on the mat in the morning time, and where they just have a little conversation about what that day could actually look like, while they're just starting to get their mind and body in the right headspace as well. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Perfect.
All good? Excellent. Vacation care is popping up again, and completely understand. And this question is around what type of excursions do we do? And I will pass through to Casey in a second, but it changes every term. No term is ever the same.
We have a variety of excursions on offer within vacation care. Primarily, the excursions are based on the requests of the children attending. So we really, vacation care is an interest-based program. It's a leisure program. So we really want to capture the voice of the children that are attending that program. So for example, last program we attended skate and I'm going to say surf, but it's not skate and surf. Where you can go skating and take your scooter. We attended there. We've attended Wings Wildlife Park in the past. We're going to the movies this coming program. We have been to Platypus House. We've been to Tasmania. So we really do venture beyond the immediate community here at Scotch Oakburn College, and it is something that is of interest to the children. They really do look forward to it. In addition to the excursions, we do have some great incursions. So we have external people visiting the program and offering programs within the actual space here at the Early Learning Centre.
It is really good fun, and for all parents out there, they often do slime activities, so it's a good one to attend so you don't have to do it at home. One of our next questions is whether food is provided. So this is a little bit of different shift in your thinking as well. So they bring their own food. So often you'd have a separate container with the healthy brain snack, and then they would have their lunchbox as well that they just snack on at certain points during the day as well. Is that anything else to add? That's right. Yeah, and they can do lunch orders as well, which is a favourite as well. Another question, thank you so much, is about rest time. So obviously your little one might still be having a day sleep. Casey, what does this look like during the day? Do I have to start dropping it now? And every parent is saying, no, please. Can you please help us out with this one?
Sure. Again, this is approached on an individual basis. So if your child still requires or is still having a day sleep, that's perfectly fine. We were working with that. There is opportunity for relaxation and rest towards the end of the day. So usually that is done as a collective group. But again, we will work to meet individual needs of each student. If they require a nap at a certain time of the day, we can meet the needs of that.
Yeah, thank you. Another one that's come through for you, Ben, is can you elaborate, please, on the 100 languages that you spoke about earlier?
Sure. It's really a focus on that each part of learning is treated as an equal. I think, Nadia, what I want to explain there is that if your child is really fascinated in art or painting, that would be celebrated as equally as if it was in number or if it was in play. So the 100 languages, the art of teaching the 100 languages is to role model that as a staff member, to look at that we don't prioritise something as more important in the early years. We want to make sure that the art of the written word in terms of their students attempting to write their first words is seen as equal as them being able to communicate with the spoken word, with how they communicate with each other. This approach is celebrated through feedback. Often when I'm reading through e-portfolios or feedback communication to home, it often talks about the language of learning, whether it is about a social connection, whether it's about play, or whether it's actually about more, I suppose, cognitive thought. So I think if there's real research in there to say that students need to be valued, and this approach, the Reggio Emilia approach, really understands that we want to value each aspect of learning as they are developing their skills around what is school and not being worried about that they may not be good at something. We are a strengths-based approach to learning.
Absolutely. It's a great segue to Ben. I'm throwing this one back to you as well. A question's just come through. What does communication look like between home and Scotch Oakburn?
In the early years, the best communication is at everyday communication between the class teacher and the parents at collection drop-off is probably the most valuable communication. It's the way in which we can share information about the day ahead or about the reflections on the day quickly. But the formal feedback is obviously through what we call the dash, and within that dash feedback cycle, it's called the e-portfolio. That's where we can share videos, photos, and written statements that we observe, and our staff here are always taking written observations. We can also create a class virtual page in terms of the students having videos, photographic evidence of what their experiences have been, and they can be just shared to the class. So all of those, I suppose, are avenues of communication. Yes, we do also communicate in written form, but certainly in the Early Learning Centre, from what I've seen, the best method of communication is in person, and it could be, if it's not direct face-to-face, then a phone call is a real preferred method because we can then explain that. But we are certainly committed to communicating about the growth of each child.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Ben. I think at the minute that is all of the questions. We hope that we have answered them. Thank you so much for your time. We know it is a crazy time in the household at 7 o'clock. If you have any questions from this evening, please jump on the phone to me. I'm more than happy to help you out. Equally, we'd love to welcome you into our Scotch Oakburn College community, especially for our Discovery Day next Monday, the 25th at 9:30. Again, all the details are on our website at soc.tas.edu.au, but otherwise just send me an email and I'll help you out as well. All good? Ben, Casey, thank you so much. Thank you guys again, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.